Welcome back to Just Giants with Grump and the Cranky Fan, the best damn podcast for the best damn football team. I am your host, the Football Grump. With me, as always, is Mike, the Cranky Fan, and we're back from
Yeah,
vacation.
hey, what's up, Grump? We're a little tanner, a little more relaxed. We are finally in a month that will have Giants training camp in it. So enough of this off-season blah. Let's start getting ready for the real thing.
Yeah, the Giants released their. So a couple things happened while we were gone. We didn't have a 4th of July weekend episode. I kind of
Let's
just.
let's do a JPP check.
Yeah,
Five. Oh, all still here.
still good.
Cool.
Most important thing, yeah, still no big Giants news, which is awesome.
Yes.
Exactly what we want this time of year.
100%.
Um, where were
And
you
we
4th of July? What the hell were you doing?
fourth of where? Well, I was in Greece for a week, getting this lovely tan and really recharging the batteries. July 4th, I was on the couch. We didn't do anything. The weather wasn't that nice in the city, so we just stayed here.
I was.
Sorry to be that exciting, but
No, it was the weather was awful because
Yeah.
I was in Pittsburgh. Um, just drove out to Pittsburgh for a weekend. Was gonna try and catch a baseball game, but the weather was awful, so that didn't happen.
Underrated town, Pittsburgh. I like it.
Absolutely awesome.
We went
Absolutely
out.
great sports city, great city for life, culture, food, everything.
Yeah, we went out there in 2008 when the Giants beat the Steelers and had a great time. They start tailgating at 6 in the morning. The people are really nice. They're really into it. It was great. So next time we play out there again, sounds like a road trip that you got to consider.
Oh, absolutely. I'll go there
Yeah.
anytime too. It's also cool. It's like because of the way this city is, like all the stadiums are like right there on the water.
Yeah,
Which
you
is
walk over the bridge, and there's football stadium, baseball stadium, casino right there. It's
yeah,
perfect.
it's awesome. A lot of fun. And if you're into that sort of thing, you can like watch a Pirates game from the river, I think.
Yeah, they have not whole gang seats where you can look through the. They have one of those chain link fence behind the bullpen. You can see into the field, so it's really cool.
Yeah. Um Other stuff that happened. Giants released their like training camp schedule, kind of whack. The Fan Fest is kind of just like literally a fan fest now. It's not really
Yeah,
like a practice.
yeah. We
Um,
need a real reason to come out there. I mean, it's not easy to get to the Meadowlands if you live in Long Island or the city or even Jersey. We need to make it worth our while to make a trip out there. So,
oh, you get that
we're,
mall.
oh yeah, that's great. I'll
Spend
definitely
more
go.
money. Yeah.
Fantastic. But since I'm probably not doing that, like I said, you need to make it coming out there worth our while, make it an attraction to go, and make it something fun. So they didn't do it. So congratulations, Giants. Good job.
Yeah, I have no idea what the point of that was. I don't know if maybe it's something with the new turf on the field. They don't want to break it in yet.
That could
Uh,
be.
I
That sounds like a
I have
logical
no
reason.
idea. I mean, that's I thought that was me just kind of saying shit.
But
Um,
here's the thing, though. I mean, there's still a bunch of concerts coming up at MetLife before the season starts, right? So I mean,
I
if they're gonna
guess
be
I would
concerts,
assume.
they gotta cover the field with that plywood and stuff, and doesn't that do stuff to the turf? So I don't know.
Who the hell knows?
Maybe they just suck. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm gonna go to that. If it's one of those things where I got nothing going on, then I'll almost definitely be there. But if it's gonna be a pain in the ass to get there on the day or whatever,
Right.
I might just skip it because why? You know what I mean? It's hot as shit.
Well,
That's
I
a
mean,
guarantee too.
let us know if you're gonna be out there, anybody.
Well, that's the thing that sucks. Like I want to go out there and like
If
hang
you
with people and stuff, but that is
right.
like is that it? I'm just like going to a parking lot to do that?
Well, people are going. I
Yeah.
mean, I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, it's one of those chicken or the egg things. Are people going to go because people are there? Do they go for an event? If there's no event, are people going to go?
Or
So,
are people gonna even go? Is there
yeah,
anyone gonna be there to meet? I
I
guess
would
like if you
say
have kids, it's like a cool family thing. But
sure, sure. Well, if you're going, reach out to us on Twitter or now on Threads because
oh
we have
yeah,
to follow. I did set that up actually, so if you want to follow us there, we haven't done anything on it yet, but let us know if you're going, and we will. A lot of people are going. Maybe we'll make a run out there.
Yeah, I didn't do that yet, by the way. I witnessed that whole thing going on. I don't know if I fully trust Threads as an app yet. And I also wasn't sure if this was something that could just be kind of
Well,
fixed quickly. So I didn't do anything with it.
yeah, we have the Just Giants Pod is on Threads. I created the account. We haven't done anything on it yet, but I wanted to make sure, in case some maniac stole it from us and did bad things. So
Oh yeah, well I mean, hey, as of
as
this
opposed to us maniacs doing bad things on it.
as of the moment I'm saying this, at least, I don't even know if that'll change by the morning. I doubt it.
Yeah.
But if you've come across a football grump on there, it's not me. I can tell you that.
Wonderful. If you see a cranky fan, that is me. Although I've been relatively quiet on the socials for a while, I've been kind of taking a break from it. So if you may have not have noticed, or maybe you have noticed,
Yeah, not a lot of bitching from you.
no, well, I'm just bitching in the privacy of my own home right now. I'm giving myself a little break from the socials. It's a little too much lately, so it's kind of laying low.
I get it, man. You did miss out on something though. Mike Kafka did a Twitter Spaces with Ted Nguyen from The Athletic and Coach Vass,
Oh,
which I thought was cool just on its own. I thought it was cool that he did that. They mentioned right at the beginning they don't think any like prominent coach has ever done just like a live Twitter Spaces with people. So like some familiar faces asked some questions. El Jefe was on there. Dan Schneier. So they got to ask him some questions. I thought it was interesting. It was about an hour and a half or something like that.
well, that's good.
He talked about one thing that I thought was really interesting is they talked about how when with the transformation of the Giants offense in particular, because it's Kafka, but
Right.
just the transformation that took place with the Giants in the last year, the regime change, some keys to success with that and like how that sort of went down. And he highlighted the roster evaluation thing and just identifying the traits of the people they had and where they lacked as a team. And they just kind of, he said that they never stopped that evaluation process. That was ongoing forever. You just keep going. Just always be evaluating and addressing and stuff like that.
That was one of the things we talked about last year, especially when we're talking about Daniel Jones, was like, they weren't going to, give him the fifth-year option right away because they don't know him, was a big reason. Not really from past performance. Like they would need to evaluate and see, is this somebody that's going to fit into our future plans? Like almost what happened in the past was in the past, but let's see what happens now.
Mm-hmm.
So that evaluation thing is very important because you're learning, what 46 guys are or 75 are, and people are going to be, rotating in and out of the roster and stuff. So, I mean, that's the competitive advantage some teams will have over others in this league. We've said this many times that the overall talent level from the Super Bowl champ to the 32nd team is not as wide of a gap as you think it is. And it's, finding value, finding players in the margins make the difference. So evaluation, talent discovery, both on your roster and other rosters, it's critical to success in this league.
Yeah. He said some other things about Daniel Jones. He praised him for his poise. And he was asked, I think it was Coach Vass that asked him like if there was like a play or a string of plays that he stuck out at like as like a favorite play call this season, and he kind of just highlighted the Daniel Jones's final drive in the Indy game as his favorite kind of collection of plays, and then it kind of ended with him being kind of chanted off the field at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Dan Schneier asked a really cool question about red zone offense philosophy and stuff like that. It was just generally kind of interesting. It was very heady at times, but also kind of silly. I thought it was a really cool thing, and I was glad he did it. I thought that was just a cool thing that he did,
Especially this is an organization where you don't hear from assistant coaches for long stretch of the season. If you do
fairly
at all.
notoriously tight-lipped organization.
Yeah. So to allow this to happen is just kind of a sign of the times. I think that, fans, media, everybody demands more access. There's more ways you can control that access. So it's good. I mean, I'd rather him talking now in early July. We can be a little more loose than, the week of a big game against Philly, for example, where I don't want him to really say much of anything. But now when we can be a little more looser and wear your golf shirt instead of your business suit, say something, talk.
Yeah, it was very.
Give us a reason to be personal, so we like you and support you more than just black and white on the field.
Yeah, it was very like relaxed style. It was cool.
Nice.
Anything else happen while we were gone?
Well, in terrible ex-Giant coaches alumni news, Pat Shurmur is now an assistant with Colorado. He's with Deion Sanders.
What is his official title there? I didn't know about this.
Offensive assistant or just specialist, I think. Let's take a look. Let's see. I saw it. I was like pretty surprised to see it. That dropping back from the NFL back down to college, but he is joining the staff as offensive analyst. So he went from offensive coordinator down to an offensive analyst at a lower Power 5 school.
Lower Pac-12 school.
Yeah, I mean, the question I have for you, Grump, is Deion Sanders. You know how much I hate his guts. Obviously, from being at Seminole, and obviously what he did with Dallas, and everybody against us and stuff. But do you buy him at all as a legitimate coach? I mean, he did the thing at HBSU last year, Jackson State. He goes to Colorado, which hasn't done anything in 30 years. But all of a sudden, he brings over 20 transfers, and all of a sudden these 4 and 5 stars are interested in Colorado. I mean, is he just a snake oil salesman, or is he actually somebody that can become a legitimate coach, in the college level and maybe in the NFL? Who knows?
All right. So this is like a multi-part question in a lot of ways. For starters, I saw a thing maybe yesterday, maybe the day before, I don't know, that was just Kirby Smart accolades in recruiting.
God.
And the amount, his accomplishments for what he's done through recruiting and that transition to the NFL, and it was pretty fucking impressive. But like
staggering.
I was talking with somebody about how impressive or not impressive that was, and we were just kind of talking about the guy. And you're at the college level, recruiting is like such a huge percentage of it. It really is everything. I mean, like, there are questions every year when we go through like the draft process thing of like, you're looking at a guy who's got like the highlight reel thing, and you're like, but he's just running around everybody. Like, this is not going to happen in an NFL game. He's not that much faster than NFL players. He's just faster than the guys on the field. You know what I mean? And so like recruiting guys like that, like, the defensive line that Kirby Smart has brought in has made that team like they've just won on just being overpowering in a lot of ways. That are just raw athleticism. So to get it back to Deion Sanders, if that's what he can do in a, let's face it, lower Power 5 conference, I mean, elevating, it's a pretty low bar for him to improve on what Colorado did last year. And I think just based on the transfers he brings in, and I think just based on the transfers he brings in, he'll have improved over what they did last year. And don't forget, a lot of guys transferred out. Lot transferred out.
He packed the bus and said, get out for all these people. But I mean, obviously, this is not his final, goal.
No, but so do I buy him as a coach? Success-wise, I'm going to asterisk him, right? Like, so he goes to Jackson
State.
Yeah, exactly. And he brings in, by name mostly, I assume. And I assume also like he did his own recruiting and scouting and found these guys and whatever, right? So I don't want to take anything away from him, but just by bringing in guys, I think he did enough success, and then He was out the door the same way he was in the NFL for the next thing where it's, no offense, I don't think it's going to be too hard for him to improve on Colorado. So I don't know if I buy him for real, because if he keeps just doing 2-year stints and improving shit organizations into better ones, eventually he's got to hit that wall of where he's going to just be somewhere and he's going to have to succeed.
There's a very strange cult of personality with Deion Sanders, which kind of, if you parallel him and Donald Trump, they're very similar.
Oh.
You know, I mean, they were big stars in the 80s. They were reality TV stars. I mean, didn't Deion host like a couple of these like Teen America shows or some pageant things and stuff, like nonsense? And they just, because of their name, they're known. They're
bravado
brand
to them. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Incredible bravado. And, you know, I don't know. We've never seen anything like it really at the college level for a guy that was not a coach. I mean, remember, he stopped playing 15 years ago, a long time ago, was a personality, you know, was on NFL Network, but never coached. All of a sudden decides later in life to start coaching, and starts coaching as a head coach. Doesn't go through the ranks of, you know, the progression that you do in college or even the NFL. So, you know, that star power attracts people. But does he make players any better? Does he make teams better over a longer haul? I mean, who knows?
Well,
he's just an interesting.
I think it's too early to tell
story.
that. I don't think so. I think a lot of the same things as you, right? Like I agree with you. That was a very good way to like surmise kind of how he's succeeded thus far. But like, is it fleeting? I mean, it's only been a couple of years, so I don't even know if it's possible to tell if he really makes players better. I haven't heard anything. So here's one thing. You're mentioning that like he's never been a coach. I'm kind of taking that away from him and saying like, oh man, he's just recruiting these guys and that just automatically makes them better. But not really. You know what I mean? Like he could, if he were really not good at corralling guys, it would have been a shit show, especially with the egos that come with talent. If he's not in control of that room, you know what I mean? He's clearly got some level of control. He's not, and as a dude who's talked about the game and the way he prepared for it as a player, I think that there's some serious coaching in him innately, right? Like, I don't know if it's defined and sharpened enough to be the teacher that I guess a coach needs to be or anything like that. But he clearly has a good idea of knowing what it takes to succeed, knowing, you know, how to prepare for games, how to get ready, down to the tiniest details, and
as a
how
head
to
coach, you're
communicate
delegating
that.
a lot of that stuff. The nuts and bolts you're delegating to your
Exactly.
your coordinators, your position coaches, your analysts, your off-field coaching, all that other stuff too.
And I do think that like some level of coaching comes down, especially at the college level, comes down to an impassioned speech, like some level of buying into your brand. And I think that he's good at that. So like, you know, when you talk like, is he X's and O's a great coach? Like, is he going to make the right decisions in a, you know, championship game against Penn State under the lights? You know what I mean? Like, in a true head-to-head coaching strategic battle, I have no idea. But I think he's got a lot of the things that, I think he could be a good coach. But I don't think we've seen enough. Yeah.
It just seems like, maybe now because with NIL and even before NIL.
It certainly is like a handicap.
There certainly seems like there was something odd going on of how is this guy all of a sudden getting 4-star and 5-star guys to an HSBC. That just doesn't happen. You know, so now we'll see at Colorado, now these in the Pac-12, you know, will that trend continue where all of a sudden you'll see somebody with their finalists are Bama, Georgia, LSU, and Colorado. And can he actually pull any of those guys? So be just something to watch. And, you know,
I hope so, for the sheer relevance of Colorado and the Pac-12. I don't think it's any good for sports when one thing is awful for too long. I don't think that's ever good. And also for the story, because I think it's interesting.
Well,
we're talking about it.
Fuck him. I hope he fails.
I don't have to like him, but
I hate him.
I hope he does well enough to keep keep sports interesting and shit.
All right.
All right, so back to it.
On to the Giants.
Yeah, on to the Giants. Sorry, that was a nice little break. Now we're back to it. Summer, getting back into it. All right. Season predictions.
Yes.
Football Grump has your New York Giants at 2-2 after the first 4 weeks, with losses in opening week against Dallas and then again against San Francisco. Cranky Fans got you at 3-1. With that only loss coming to San Francisco. We didn't talk about this at all, I don't think. Did we? Correct me here. San Francisco, are you more worried about them with the Brock Purdy thing?
We talked about this last episode.
We did?
Yeah.
Is there some level of the tape catching up with him, or is it just he's in such a good system that it won't really matter?
I think you're in a very good system. I think you see any of these quarterbacks, at least even a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo, just kind of, unless you are completely incompetent, you're not dependent on a quarterback having to do everything. And I think, if Brock Purdy's a smart guy who doesn't make mistakes, sees the field well, knows the playbook, knows the right reads, and just executes, I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, okay. Week 5, October 8th, Sunday 1:00 game. Giants at Miami Dolphins. Curse NFL gods for scheduling this game in early October. What is the point of that? Nobody wants to be in Miami in early October.
Fun fact for you, Grump. Since the merger in 1970 of all the teams, Miami is the team we played the least.
I find that very interesting.
This is only the 10th time we will play them in the regular season since 1970.
That makes no fucking sense.
It makes no sense.
It makes. Do you know how many teams have not even been around since 1970 and we played them more?
I meant teams from the merger from 1970.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not counting the Panthers or the Jaguars.
I was going to say, how the hell is that possible?
No. Since 1970, the teams when the merger happened. So when the teams are in the NFL and AFL teams that came over to it. We've only played them 10 times. It's the least amount we played an NFL team.
Is that merging some of franchises that have moved? Is that collecting them? Like the Houston Oilers?
The Oilers would be part of that list because they were in the AFL and they moved over in 1970.
But is that collecting the resultant franchises?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's just a weird scheduling little quirk that...
So would you say this will be the 10th time?
Only the 10th time.
That's wild. In 2011, they played them too.
Yeah.
And guess what? In that 10th time, this will be a fucking win in Penn.
Woo!
Yeah, right? Woo. I think that there might be some struggles against the secondary there, but I wrote this a lot when I was doing this. Giants might have a trench advantage in this game. When was the last time we really talked about the Giants having a trench advantage on offense?
A long time ago.
I think that this is a game that maybe Darren Waller might have a really good game. I don't really know. I don't know. Something about I'm not sure how they're gonna try and line up guys against him. Maybe it's weird, right? When trying to do this, if Darren Waller is already tearing up the league by week 6. We're only on week 5, but just saying. Mm-hmm. Do teams start putting legit corners on him?
Depends on what the output of the legitimate wide receivers on this team are too. If nobody's really stepped up and it's just he's our number one threat, but very, very big potential for that.
Yeah, I don't know. Really weird. I just, I'm not loving. I'm not loving the situation. I think either Darren Waller is going to be a problem or the amount that they commit to Darren Waller is going to open up somebody else. So as much as I'm scared of this secondary, it's clearly one of the better parts of this defense. I think the Giants might be able to score some points in this game. I don't know. What do you think?
I'm going to put this as a win in pencil. I think this is one of those games where you're going to see 30, 35,000 Giant fans there, especially if they start off, pretty – let's put it this way. I think off of last year's success, a lot of Giant fans who live in South Florida, as we all know, a lot of New Yorkers live down there, are excited about seeing them. It's the first time they've been down there in quite a while. You know, everyone's excited over last year. I think you're going to see a lot of blue in the stands in that game. I think that will help. I think we're going to keep riding the momentum from the past couple of games that we talked about last one. I think we'll sneak out a win. I agree with you about winning the potential trench warfare in this game too. I mean, again, we're not doing these picks based on who might be injured or not injured. We're going just based on our base rosters. But I got a hunch this year Daniel Jones is going to be better on the road than at home for some crazy reason. Put that as a bookmark, and let's see how that plays out. We get to like week 12 or 13. But I got a feeling that we're going to look and be like, he's actually has better numbers on the road. And this will be one of those games where he has really decent numbers in spite of, them having a good secondary and stuff. I think he's feel like he's becoming a gamer, and a gamer wins games, in hostile environments and things like that. So even though there might be a lot of Giant fans there, it's still on the road, still going to be hot as hell. That to me is considered a hostile environment. I think we win this one in pencil.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on Daniel Jones having like a weirdly good game here, especially on the road, on the run. I could see him like I could see these edge rushers from Miami like overcommitting around the bend or something like that. I could see, the defense running back in man coverage back completely to the line of scrimmage and him just taking off. You know what I mean? Yeah. And just beating whatever linebacker is assigned to spy him or whatever. Are you worried about Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle?
Sure.
And like some 70-yard bomb in this game, wrecking everything.
That's one thing I'm going to fear in this game and pretty much this whole season is I feel like this defense is going to be an improvement over last year, but susceptible to the one play, the 80-yard bomb or something that just negates a quarter of good play. And boom, we just give up 7 quick points. And that might be the difference this year for this team is, do they have the ability to score a 70-yard bomb as opposed to the potential for giving up one, in a game or every other game or something?
Yeah, I'm not. So here's the thing. I think at maybe 3 points in this game, there's going to be a chance where, whether it's Dory Jackson, Deonte Banks, whoever, Xavier McKinney, someone's going to bite on something and Hill or Waddle is just too fast and they're going to get behind them. My question is, for a 70-yard bomb, will this pass rush, will this blitz package do enough where there's not enough time to make that throw? That's what it's going to come down to, I think, right? Like, I don't think there's any stopping the fact that to be in an aggressive defense and play against two players that are that just fast, it's going to happen a couple times. They're going to get behind you. It's going to come down to, do you do enough up front to disrupt and throw off timing, force something else to happen?
Yeah.
I think it'll happen in this game, apparently.
I think this is something we have to fear all year. I mean, that's going to be the great experiment, I guess, with this defense is until, Deonte Banks is, established more playing the league and everything. How much of a disruptive force will the front seven be to let these guys out there for the potential when you're facing a number one wide receiver, a real burner, a guy who can tilt the field and cause real problems.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Giants can slow the game down at any point with a running game against this defense too. I got this as win in pen. I feel like it's just, I don't know. I like the way we match up with them.
I have it in pencil. This feels like a game where there's always games every year. It feels like we shouldn't lose this game. We shouldn't win this game, or these are the type of games we win. This feels like the one we come down to and we win. So I'm put this in pencil.
I like your enthusiasm. How about this one? Giants-Bills. Week 6, Sunday Night Football, October 15th. I don't know. Chris Collinsworth probably calling this game.
I believe. Well, it doesn't matter. I believe we'll be there. So.
I believe we'll be there. That is the aim. That is the goal.
That's a fun one. Last time the Giants played there, I think it was 2016. I think it was. I was there for that. It's fun. It's the closest environment I've been to a college atmosphere for a
Hmm.
NFL stadium. Lots of tailgating out front. It has that smell of tailgate. Brats and burgers and things, and it's great. I'm looking forward to that one. We'll have to figure out a way to get there somehow.
Yeah. I I don't know. This is I think like networks were kind of like looked like evil villains trying to fight over getting this game in their network, right?
Sure.
I don't think it's going to disappoint. Now, I don't think that the Giants and the Bills are like that close in terms of parity, but I do think that with the coaching and just the knowledge of Sean McDermott that Brian Dable brought with him here, knowing how to attack things and maybe knowing a weak point or two of Josh Allen's, I think it will be an exciting game. I think it'll be close. Um,
This is my pen.
ooh, okay.
This is a Lawson pen.
Yeah.
I just don't think we're ready enough to go in a hostile environment, prime time, and win against a fringy Super Bowl contending team just yet. I think we can make it a game. I think we can make it exciting, but at the end of the day, they're better, and we're playing there at night and all these things. I don't think we're ready yet to to call upsets or anything with any confidence. So it's okay. I mean, 17 game season, you're not going to win them all. Obviously, you can't predict you're going to win every one. So I'm going to have this one as a loss in pen.
I have it as a loss in pen as well. But I do think it will be close.
Yeah.
I do think all the things that I said. I think that it's going to be maybe not close the whole game. I mean, there might be like some kind of strong surge at the end, or something like that, or maybe it'll be close for 3 quarters and then Buffalo separates. But I do think it will be a game at the end of the day. We'll look back at that. On offense, this is actually, I'm thinking that this might be a pretty tough test for the tackles. It's certainly going to be a test for Evan Neal. No matter who he goes, is it going to be Von Miller, Leonard Floyd, or Gregory Rousseau? He's going to have to show up in this game because they're going to put him in one-on-one situations and make him have to block. So we'll see if Evan Neal is progressing for sure by this point, week 6.
Yeah, I was going to say we're going to be a third of the year in his second year. I think this is a good barometer for him to see where he is in his progression. So,
Which should not be a complete product either. I don't expect him to be in any kind of Pro Bowl conversation this year.
No. I mean, he doesn't have to be a Pro Bowler this year either. I mean, we want to see the growth. We're trying to build 2 pillars on both tackles that are going to be with this team for the next decade. And by the time we get to the Bills game, will be his 22nd game? Still a baby.
Yeah. I could see this being a Jalen Hyatt game.
Coming out party on national TV?
I don't know if it's... Yeah, maybe. I mean, coming out party in as much as, people are talking about him. But that won't be the start of a 2014 OBJ year or anything like that.
Well, clip that, and hopefully you're wrong.
Yeah, really? That would be something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I could see that on offense. I think mostly they're going to struggle on offense. I think they're going to have a tough time with this defense. On defense, I think they're going to... The main thing with this is I don't think the pass rush is good enough. With Josh Allen the way he is, you just need to do better than one stray guy getting through, right?
And you can make him inaccurate, I think. You
Sure.
have to put him in a position to be inaccurate, and that requires constant pressure and constant looks and constantly confusing the guy.
Yeah. He's not easily confused either.
Right.
I could see a situation in which Bobby Okereke is like splitting time between covering Dawson Knox and trying to spy Josh Allen, and then just them riding that and picking that apart. And I think this might be a hard test for the slot corner. I think Khalil Shakir might be somebody who we're worried about maybe in this game. I don't know. It's a loss in Penn, but I do think it'll be close. I think they'll make it interesting. Probably mostly with like a head coaching advantage.
Well, I mean, if you want to look on positives, it's a non-conference game, so if you lose that one, it's not as critical as losing, to Philly or something. So we just kind of you play it, you move on.
Nothing is as critical as losing to Philly.
Word.
So we both got losses there. We are mostly on the same page throughout this so far.
Yeah.
Kind of
And
boring.
by the way, we did not talk before we did this, so we have no idea what the other's picking. So
No, I don't even know. I'm all done. Are you done? I did the whole season.
I have mine here. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you didn't even know that. Washington, Week 7, Sunday, October 22nd, 1 o'clock game in New York, whatever, in New Jersey. First division game? I think? Yeah, right?
No, we started with Dallas.
Dallas, right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but that's that. That doesn't always feel like the first division game of the year. It just feels like it's like all over in one shot.
Feels like a playoff game.
Yeah,
The first
it
division
kind of
game.
does. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you like taking Washington at home first this early in the October 12th before Halloween?
I'd rather have this game. I'd rather play these games earlier at home because the end of the season games they're just as much could be meaningless as they are super critical. Like last year, we played Philly that last game of the year, and when it was like week 5 and 6, we're like, oh, we had that huge matchup with Philly coming, and by the time we actually got to week 17 or week 18, it was like, we had fans playing because it meant nothing. So games that they're much more likely to be important, I'd rather have at home and have it earlier on. So I'm glad we're playing them now here.
Okay. This feels like to me exactly what I think of when I think of describing football to me as like what child me would tell me what football is a fall game, you know what I mean, Sunday at 1 o'clock, and it's Giants Redskins. That's what I would describe football to, like if some little kid me would have said. And
then that child would say, who are the Redskins?
Well, child me, man. I wasn't born in 2022, so.
Yeah, I absolutely get it. It's like it's the first time in the year we start getting that chill, where it's not exactly we're not sweating our asses off at a 1 o'clock game. It's like a little brisk. I'm flying back from Gainesville or something, or from a playoff game, and it's little fally. Feels nice. You're taking the train out, and there's some of those leaves have a little bit of red in there, and it's like now we're in football season.
I remember. This is really weird, but there's something. When you said that, like about getting chilly in football, it just reminded me when I was a little kid playing football in the backyard with friends, whatever. You'd always want to do it when it was on, right? Like around the same time of year,
Sure.
So it would be kind of cold outside. I remember in the backyard, the exhaust for the dryer was like there, and we warm our hands up with the dryer exhaust. Playing outside in the cold.
I didn't realize you had a state-of-the-art stadium in your backyard.
Yeah, right? So as we're talking about this game in particular, I just realized and I looked up to confirm, this is also a legacy game. So as I'm describing this as a game from my childhood, it quite literally will look like one. So that's awesome. I love this now. Now that I'm back in, this is perfect. I love the legacy game thing here.
I'm going to have my official statement once, and I don't want to say this every time, but I love the fact that they're bringing these uniforms back once, maybe twice a year. However, I am probably the biggest advocate of the current uniform as your standard uniform.
But this is more than just the uniform. This is the whole vibe. This is the soundtrack, the field, the stadium. It's everything.
Yeah, I know. But the biggest thing people care about are the uniforms. And, I like the old uniforms. I always thought there was something a little generic about the old ones, just Giants. But these ones we have now, they harken back to the old days. They're simple, they're clean. I think they're the best uniforms in the NFL. So I hope they keep them as is. But I do love, using these, for the legacy game. The white ones are the color rush ones, what they use. I'm all good with that, to mix it up every once in a while, but keep it the way it is. I love how they put the red in the end zone for the Rose Bowl World Super Bowl. I love having the scoreboard looks like Family Feud with Richard Dawson from 1983. That looks great. The old school music from the 80s. That's all fantastic. Showing pictures of Grump with hair.
There you
old
go.
School, great. Yeah, this is and I'm glad it's a 1:00 game, because if you remember growing up, most games the Giants played were at 1:00.
They only had like 2 night games when we were kids.
I remember just.
It was just Monday Night Football.
Yeah, I mean, I'm older than you. I remember just the Monday night game. I remember when they started that Sunday night game, when half of it was on TNT and half was on ESPN. They split the season up in two, and but that was the emphasis on Sunday wasn't.
It was like a Sunday thing.
No, it was a Sunday night, but they didn't put the emphasis on having the best matchups. I mean, when that went to network and NBC got it, they were like, this needs to be the crown jewel and this needs to be the package. And that's fine. I like having a great Sunday night game after watching a day of Giant football and other stuff, but I'd rather it not be us playing.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. Are you buying the Commandos? Or Commanders, or the hell they're called?
Am I buying them as a team?
I'm not saying as, because they're being sold, literally buying them. Like, are you buying with the little, it's hype, might even be too strong of a word, but
what hype? Who is their quarterback? Sam Howell?
That's why I'm asking you these questions, because it seems like they kind of feel like, just in some podcasts I've listened to and some things I've been reading, of like, Washington's kind of, be careful, they're being a little sneaky. Where the Giants buzz is like, do it again. I'm not buying, the quarterback. But are you buying him at all?
I don't like. All right, let's get right into this. No, I'm not buying. I'm not buying anything that you're selling me if you can't tell me who the quarterback is. If you can't tell me that, then I'm not buying anything you're selling right off the bat. And I don't know
Sam
if it's.
Howell is not make me buy flights.
I think it's Jacoby Brissett, if we're being honest.
I think it's going to be Howell.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, by week 7, it may not be who it was week 1.
That's very true. I mean,
for good or bad reasons.
I think they want Howell to win the job. I think Brissett's there just in case it doesn't work out. But I think they're kind of going into camp thinking they want him to win the job. And you know something? Fine with me. As a Giant fan.
Well, okay, so I'm not really sure. So we'll start with the quarterback situation. I'm not really sure if Brissett or Howell's the quarterback, but I like the advantage in the trenches and at the edges. I'm not buying their offensive line or their quarterback is not a good start to anything. I will admit that the skill position players between Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson down to McLaurin, Dotson, Samuel, I understand where the hype comes from. They are still several very important pieces, I think, from being they're us 3 years ago. Not in terms of actual roster construction, just progress.
Well, 3 years ago, we were 3 years ago.
Awful.
Very, very bad.
2019, but we weren't. But we were saying like there were bones there.
There were bones. That's true.
Yeah.
All right. I bet maybe a slightly better version than that team, but we're nothing that makes us say, we have to worry about them for a wild card spot.
I mean, I don't think so.
Yeah, that's how I feel personally. I need to see something first before I start buying into hype, where they just feel like a team where it's like, well, watch out for them, and like I don't see it.
I mean, I think that Ron Rivera is at least a good enough coach where I would describe a bad team of theirs as scrappy.
Okay.
I don't know if that's saying something or not, but
it is saying something.
With Charles Leno at left tackle, Sam Cosmi's their right guard or right tackle, I'm not even sure. Nick Gates is their center. I mean, we love Nick Gates, but they signed a 3-year deal to a guy who I was worried was going to get hurt every time I saw him in there.
let's put it this way. That's one of the biggest needs before we drafted. Center was one of the biggest needs on this team, and we didn't.
That's
try to bring it
no
back.
shade, but it's also
It's a
that
fact.
that was a 3-year signing they gave that I don't think is a huge upgrade to what they had. So
Yeah.
defensively, also, like, I'm buying this team. I'm still waiting for Chase Young to be Chase Young. When's that supposed to happen?
I actually have a note here about Chase Young. I'm like, what happened to Chase Young, and what's going to happen with him?
I don't know.
Like, I mean, he was one of those, like, he'll be on the cover of Madden after his rookie year, and now it's like
If you put him
he's
on
kinda
there, would
there.
anyone even know who the hell he is?
it's just kind of there. Yeah.
This is probably the first time I finally don't feel shitty about the center spot against this defensive line. I don't think it's an advantage having John Michael Schmitz versus Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne, but I finally don't feel awful about it. Man, to even imagine how much we've done against them with what we had for the last couple of years.
And now as we're getting into week 7, week 8, again, he's a guy who's going to get some experience. He'll be better in middle October than he was in September.
I don't like their linebackers. I never understood the Jamin Davis pick that they made. David Mayo was still slotted to be on their. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not buying it. I'm sorry. I don't even love the Emmanuel Forbes pick that they made. I think he's a good player. He helps their roster, but at the spot they were at, they could have picked a better corner, I think. So I don't know.
See this?
That's a pen. I have mine in pencil, but I gotta win.
I have this in pen. This is a game 2 years ago we lose.
I agree.
A game where I feel like
Or tie.
or tie. Like, we could have had this exact same conversation. I like this. I don't like this. I like this. This looks good. They don't scare me. Blah blah blah. Then we were walking out of the stadium, going to the train at 4:15, going,
How the fuck could this
how the fuck
happen?
did we just lose that? It's the same old garbage. I don't think this year. I think this teams like this, I think now we can beat, and that's why I think we're going to win this. That's why I'm bringing out the old pen.
All right, now we're gonna get into the meat of this episode. For everyone, for both of you listening, and that we're waiting patiently
If you got past the Dion talk, thank you.
for we. Sorry, did I make that longer than it should have been? I don't know. I thought that was a really interesting question.
I liked it. I mean,
Okay.
we'll see. We'll check the numbers later, but
Week 8, Jets at Giants, Sunday, October 29th, 1 o'clock. Halloween costumes in full force.
it's crazy. Could be right in the middle of the World Series. Could be all sorts of stuff going on.
And, I mean, for all intents and purposes, it's Aaron Rodgers and Daniel Jones. I think... Are you excited for this game?
Sure. I think there's,
Is this like the most relevant Jets-Giants matchup that you can remember? It's never going to be perfectly relevant in a regular season game, but with a guy like Aaron Rodgers coming here at the same time that Daniel Jones is homegrown talent to the spotlight, they literally played each other last year in London too, and now they're at this hometown rivalry. Jets fans, rightly, I think they have a shot to be playoff contenders.
I think they have a shot to be more than playoff contenders.
Sure. I think when you have Aaron
And
Rodgers
I
added to your
don't
team,
think they're
that's fair.
crazy.
Nope.
I don't think they're crazy. I would say the year we played when Victor Cruz had the 99-yard
Good point.
play, but that was more a.
I don't know if we knew.
circumstance.
Yeah, I don't think in the moment we knew how important that was.
I think it was more important for us personally. Like, we need to get our own house in order. We need to win this game.
Right.
And a play like that turning the season around. And also, if I remember, it kind of submarine the Jet season after that, too. So you really kind of killed two birds with one stone with that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that would probably be the biggest one that I can think of. But this, for star power and just hype, this would be the biggest one I think has ever been hyped.
Yeah,
I mean,
maybe.
Did we ever play the Jets when they had Brett Favre?
I don't think so. He was only there for like 2 years, wasn't he?
Yeah, and we didn't. The rotation didn't work out when we played them. So
I don't think so.
I don't think so. So yeah, I mean, and again, like I said, Jet fans, they're thinking not even playoffs. They're thinking, they have an outside shot of going to the Super Bowl, and It's not.
I think they have the tougher road in the AFC is really
It
the
wouldn't be
bigger
the
problem.
craziest thing I've ever seen in my life if they made it. I wouldn't go to Vegas and bet on it. But if we're talking in February doing a Jets preview of the Super Bowl, I wouldn't be shocked.
I
Who knows?
also would not be shocked if this team falls apart.
Well, Aaron Rodgers to me is the biggest what if in the league this year because he wasn't that good last year, relatively speaking, and he's old. So maybe
These are true things.
maybe he just sucks this year. I mean, we've seen quarterbacks. Tom Brady kind of fell to earth this last year. Quarterbacks, when they lose it pretty quickly.
Peyton.
And Peyton,
Peyton was shot putting in the Super Bowl.
He should have thrown it left-handed in the Super Bowl. He'd probably been better off. And again, he's been in one system, one team for so many years, a complete comfort level. He has to learn something completely new. He's playing on turf as opposed to grass for the first time. For his thing, all little things that it's not a seamless transition. Can old dogs learn new tricks? I can't, so I don't know if he can. So
do the Jets have the worst logo in the NFL currently? The stupid green football with the football in it.
I don't like the Titans. I've never liked the Titans.
Yeah, that's true. The Titans have a pretty shitty logo in colors. All right, anyway.
I think the Jets should have stuck with when they brought back their throwbacks, the Joe Namath ones. I thought those were pretty cool. They're unique. They should have kept those. Making something. They're just so desperate, the Jets, to be relevant in this market and the NFL. They'll do anything possible. They'll have the cheesy PA announcer. They'll have the black uniforms. They'll do the flavor.
Yeah, those black uniforms are ugly, man.
They'll do the flavor of the month uniform style so they appear relevant. They are. Look, the Jets are what they are. They pay half of our mortgage. Thank you, Jet fans. Thank you, Woody Johnson. Thanks for paying for half of the stadium. Maybe if they weren't so cheap, we could have paid for a roof on our stadium too. So I'm going to blame the Jets for being cheap. Why we don't have a roof. So fuck you.
All right. As for this actual matchup,
Yes,
all right, let's start with defense. Aaron Rodgers, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Allen Lazard, Mecole Hardman behind a pretty decent offensive line. Biggest question's got to be like that offensive line though. Is tackle situation. I don't know, man. I think it's more so this defense and Aaron Rodgers. And I don't think this defense confuses Rodgers. I think more so it forces a guy to understand what's happening on the fly and be able to communicate to other guys that maybe can't keep up with the defense. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
While also making an older guy run and do things on the move, which is sort of what he's known for, I guess. But I think statistically it's just always going to make somebody less likely to make a play. So I think that this defense and their offensive line question marks probably play into this being a little bit of a chance to capitalize on mistakes defensively. But I'm otherwise pretty scared.
I am going to put this as a loss in pencil. I have the Giants at a pretty good record right now. What do I have them at, like 6-1 at this point?
No, you have a loss. So 6-2. This is week 8. You have us at 5-2.
5-2. I feel like this team is feeling really, really confident, maybe a little overconfident for the talent level they do. And I just have the hunch that this might be one of the old guys still got it games from Aaron Rodgers where, maybe he was even not playing well the week before and the storyline is, Jets do a Brett Favre redo, redux with him, and all of a sudden he has the game of his year. Again, it's a long season. There are ups and downs. I just feel like this is kind of that part in the season where there's going to be a game we're going to lose at home that we probably shouldn't, even though we kind of said the Jets are better than they have been. I just have that gut feeling we're going to lose this game and be very annoyed that we do because there's going to be a lot of lippy Jet fans around, and it's going to be finally give this rivalry some juice. So that's my gut.
I have this as a win in pencil. There you go.
Okay.
Grump is more optimistic.
There you go.
I actually think that this game is going to be a Saquon Barkley game.
Ooh.
I think that the zone read is going to fool defensive ends. They're going to get sucked into bad things. I think the power run will start to work late in the game. We'll be able to wear down. And then, maybe something big. But, I mean, I don't think any throwing game is going to go too well against Gardner and Reed. I do think it goes down to the wire. And I also think that in our section there will be 3 fights. Fist fights.
Yeah,
because it will be. This will be a close game, right? This will be close.
Yeah, I could see Jet fan coming in and sitting in, the seats right behind us, and you'll know before opening kickoff that Jet fan is there. And I think it'll take between about the second quarter. Maybe we should bring snacks down to sit with us for that game.
I don't think that's wise. Not if you value your tickets, man.
I mean, if we're gonna go all in, let's bring them down with us, and we'll just end it all. So, no, I think there will be they're gonna come in very confident, very lippy, very cocky. It'll be a fun atmosphere.
I gotta say, October 29th, 1:00 game. Shame on you if you're selling your ticket. I'm sorry, right? This is not a game to sell.
I have a 6 a.m. flight that morning from Jacksonville after the cocktail party. I will be there. If I can make it up there, even with a World Series potentially in the works around there where it's fly in and fly out, if I can make it, you should make it too. There's no excuses, season ticket holders. You need to be at that game.
I mean, yeah. I mean, just for the fact that, why don't you want to be? If you don't want to be at this game, you should just sell your whole season ticket package. Yeah. You clearly don't want to be at any game.
Yeah. If you need the money that badly, we'll set up a GoFundMe for you or something.
Yeah. I have this as a win in pencil. I think this is a really close game. I think this is I liked the way you said it. This might be a old guys still got it game. I could definitely see that. And don't just like in 2011 when we played Aaron Rodgers, that was like that one game. It was back and forth. And they led some 30-second drive right down the middle of the field, kicked a field goal, and won the game.
Any chance this game gets flexed?
Too early.
Is it still too early?
I don't know. Probably. It's not even Halloween yet. It's still in October.
But are there new rules now with flexing?
The new rules are that... Well, yeah. The new rules are that the flexing is no longer contained within network. So it was essentially that you can get flexed to Thursday.
Okay.
So that flipped. That meant that you could play 2 Thursday games per year. All that other stuff. So it changed 5 rules.
There's no flip outs to Sunday night for something like.
No, you can. You can be flexed to any spot. Really.
I mean, I see the potential. Let's say the Jets.
But my thing is how do you know that these are 2 good teams? I mean, you have to announce that flex 7 days beforehand, don't you?
I think if there's both of these teams have a solid record. Let's say they're both 4-1 or 5-1 at some point. I can absolutely see this being flexed to that Sunday night game. 2 New York teams, star power and Aaron Rodgers, Saquon Barkley, battle for New York, blah 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 blah. That's a network wet dream.
It's true. I hope they don't.
I hope they don't. I am not a network executive. I have no stock in Comcast or Fox or anything. I don't need the game to be at night, so their ratings can get better. I could care less about them.
Yeah. There will be 86,000 people present there, right? Something like that?
Something like that, for sure.
That's the only rating I care about, is how full the stands are.
The only rating I care about is the win-loss record, to be very blunt.
So I went 3-1 this week. You went 2-2. How about that? We flipped.
Yeah, I'm feeling we have 3 losses halfway through. That's kind of how I feel we should be. And I will sign up for that right now. I don't care what Philly's doing. I don't care what Dallas is doing. Give me 3 losses after, give me
8
5 and
weeks.
3.
Yeah.
I am very happy.
I'm cool with 5 and 3.
Sure. 5 and 3 with a caveat that we are better than we were last year. We're playing better than we were last year. In which I did say before we started this exercise, I think we would be a better team even if the record isn't reflective of that.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. We better be, or else I'm out on this season.
I'm kicking your ass.
Yeah. That's it for this episode. That was a solid, perfect hour that we just did that.
There you go.
So be sure to follow us on Twitter as it still exists at @football_grump, at the Cranky Fan, at Just Giants Pod, also on Threads. Same thing at Just Giants Pod.
Yep, same thing. At the Cranky Fan is well there.
I'm learning all this right now. And of course on YouTube, our stuff. YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, etc., iTunes. Tell friends, since social media is no longer a social media platform.
We've had a bunch of new subscribers on YouTube, so thank you. I think that's due to Grump's appearances on Talking Giants. That's probably a big catalyst for it. We appreciate all you new subscribers. So I promise you, these shows will be good once the season really starts. We're just we're dealing with the summer right now, the dog days. But
I hope that was as fun as a season prediction session can get.
Yeah.
So
I enjoyed it.
There you go. I had fun too.
The other two people who survived the Dion talk, they enjoyed it too. So
thank you.
Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
All right, everyone. We'll see you next week with weeks 9 through 12, I guess. Yeah.
Yep.
9 through 12, and we'll be almost done with the season at that point. And I think we spaced these out perfectly, where as soon as we're done with this, we'll be right into training camp. So
camp's coming. Get ready.
I'm ready. I'm so ready for. Are you finally feeling stoked, or is it still a little summery for you?
I'm ready. This is All-Star break. It's kind of a dead week right now. I'm back from vacation, starting to do my real research, getting into the year, and again, for the first time in several years, we're relevant. And when you're relevant, you want it to start sooner. So
True.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right, I'm ready too. We'll see you guys next week. Till then, go Giants.
Go Giants.